Secret Service. He's Kenneth Valentine. He has served America and served it well. Kenneth, it's great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So, sir, when you heard this breaking news today that Homeland Security had intelligence for weeks before the rally where President Trump was almost assassinated, that Iran planned to assassinate him too, what are your thoughts now about the criticism about security failures for the president?
Well, I think anytime your protectee leaves the venue having been whisked away bleeding from a gunshot wound, you've got to talk about the failures. And certainly there were failures that occurred. There were also some successes. I think we saw the Trump detail, the agents right around the former president act heroically, jumped up and got in the way as bullets were flying. And we saw a counter sniper team that ultimately did their job and did it effectively. But it's certainly hard to not use the word failure when your protectee is struck by a sniper's bullet.
Yeah, we understand Secret Service agents really care about their jobs. The critics are saying, why wasn't a building less than 2 football fields away secured where the shooter took the shots at the president? And the head of the Secret Service said they could not put agents on the roof because it was too sloped. Again, it's less sloped than a bunny hill, a ski hill. The counter sniper team took out the shooter on a much steeper roof. Does that excuse play?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that would be the reason why personnel weren't put on that roof. And certainly when you go out to do an advance, the architecture of that security advance is going to look different every single day. Every single venue that you go to, you go, and Secret Service is very collaborative in their nature. So you're collaborating with state, federal, local law enforcement to effect a security plan. And so how you secure that building is going to look different than, maybe a different venue in a different city. So I really don't know what they did to secure that building. Obviously, they didn't prevent anyone from scaling the building with a rifle and getting rounds off into a secure area. So I'm very proud of the reaction by Secret Service agents surrounding President Trump, but prevention's the name of the game with security, and obviously that was not prevented.
Yeah, the news that law enforcement were inside the same building as the Trump rally shooter who got up on the roof, that he was spotted about a half hour before he opened fire. No one stopped him until it was too late. The question is, did Trump's security team have enough resources? There are multiple probes facing now. The Secret Service has faced that. If Trump was assassinated, this would have triggered a national crisis of historic proportions. Watch the head of the Secret Service in an ABC interview. Watch this.
The president and Homeland Security Secretary said today they had 100% confidence in you, but there are some members of Congress calling on you to resign.
I appreciate the Secretary's comments, and we're going to continue to be transparent and communicate with people.
You plan to stay on? Absolutely.
I do plan to stay on.
So she plans to stay on. She's going to testify for Congress. If you were to ask her questions, Kenneth, what would you ask her?
Well, I really want to know and ensure that the priority of the Secret Service is protection. This is what we do for a living. We protect a limited number of people at the highest parts of our government.
Sir, but forgive me, I'm so sorry. Why would you feel the need to question that?
Because I think priorities are the name of the game. That is what's going to drive the resources that you allocate for the mission. It's what's going to drive your personnel when you lead by that example. So I think what your priorities are critically important in your role in leadership.
Are you saying they don't have their priorities right, that they're not protecting the president enough?
No, I'm saying if we're going to question whether or not she should remain in that position, the question is, in her leadership, what are your priorities? And if you don't have your priorities right, then we need to put someone in there who does.
Too much DEI?
Well, fine question. Been gone for 4 years. Don't know about that. I think if the priority, however, is not protection, then it doesn't matter what it is. Fill it in with anything else you like. But that priority's got to come secondary to the mission of protection. And if you're not allocating the resources and laying out the example of that being a priority, then that's not leadership.
Kenneth Valentine, thank you for being so upfront and open about these very tough issues that we're tackling. We appreciate you, and thank you for serving America so well. Come back soon. Still ahead.